Now, as you'll appreciate if you've been watching this playlist for a while, this is my sort of Bible for Playmates issue Trek toys. Because in here is pretty much everything that Playmates released over the course of time to tell us, to sell to Trek enthusiasts. Now, I know this book reasonably well at this point because I've been looking at a lot of their stuff, of course, as you'll appreciate. And I saw something on eBay, or something on eBay showed me something, and I thought, I'm not familiar with that. I don't remember seeing that. So I turned to my trusted unauthorized handbook and price guide by Schiffer, and lo and behold, there on the early pages of the ship section was a gold Enterprise D. And I thought, oh, so there is a gold Enterprise D. I just have never ever seen it come up before on auctions on eBay. Stock number 6112, 1993, so quite early, just a year after their first release of the Enterprise D, which was this one, which I've shown you a considerable amount of time ago now. And this is a gold painted 7th anniversary special collector's edition Starship Enterprise. So typical sounds, dual light up engines, display stand with numbered plaque, certificate of authenticity, limited production of 50,000 pieces. Ah, I thought, that's why I've not seen one before. And bizarrely, this is from someone who is actually relatively local to me, but no, not Gareth. But it is a gentleman that I've bought from before. And I do not believe that these come up terribly often for exactly the reason that I've just described. There are only 50,000, or at least 49,999 others, assuming they all still exist. Because this one is now mine. And I'm just looking at it in the box, and it's properly golden. Now you might be wondering, why on earth did they do a gold Enterprise? And this is literally the first time I've looked at it in any sort of detail, so I'm going to look at the box quite closely because I am intrigued as to what the thought process was behind this. Now clearly it was the 7th anniversary special collector's edition, logically coming out in, did I say 93 or 94? I've forgotten myself now. That's old age for you. Let me just get this accurate. So the book says 93, so I'm guessing that this is pretty much towards the end of Next Generation's run, hence the 7th anniversary. There is an obvious reason I can think of for them doing this beyond the anniversary, because other manufacturers have done gold versions of the ships, of the Enterprises, because in Captain Picard's ready room, on the Enterprise D, and indeed I think on the E as well, he had on the wall gold versions of all the prior Enterprises. So I think that's part of the reason why they did this, is that they will have done it because it mimics the appearance of those ships on the ready room wall on the Enterprise itself. That would be my best guess, but we'll see what the box says, because as I say, I haven't looked at this. I haven't put batteries in it yet, so I'll try that side of it out as well. Just looking at it, no, that's right. No, that is how. Yeah. So it's got the standard Playmates buttons. It's also got the see-through plastic elements. That surprises me slightly, and it's also, you've seen all the stickers on it actually as well. And I think that's an odd choice, because I'm pretty sure that the gold ones are normally quite plain. They don't actually have that sort of embellishment on them. The only one of the Enterprises I can think of that's had this treatment, that's not Playmates, it was a very, very hard to come by Enterprise C by Diamond Select. I've never seen one in the flesh. I don't have one. But I know that it does exist. I think it was, I think it might have been a San Diego Comic-Con limited edition one. But anyway, let's have a look at this now, because it's got quite a lot of blurb on the side of it. It may all be very, very standard. But I'm looking at the blurb sort of here, and I'll do what I normally do and just sort of take you through what these various panels say. So log on, Starship Enterprise history, first design, Constitution class, second design, A, Constitution class, but obviously a rather different Constitution class. Third design, 1701-B, Excelsior class, fourth design, Enterprise C, Ambassador class. Current design, USS Enterprise D, Galaxy class, built by the Utopia Planitia Starfleet Yards, Mars, commissioned 2363, current commander Captain Jean-Luc Picard. The Federation's most advanced, most celebrated starship, the USS Enterprise is now offered to collectors, fully decorated in gold. This Galaxy-class starship is perhaps the most inspired vessel in science fiction history. Preserved for future generations, this special limited edition collector's replica is the hallmark of Spaceship Systems design. In celebration of the 7th season of Star Trek The Next Generation TV show, this classic special anniversary edition commemorates not only the spectacle of the show, but evokes the wonder of mankind's quest for the stars. You'll be in awe of the sleek craftsmanship, you'll marvel at the precision modelling of the saucer, hull and nacelles. Collectors can proudly display this all-gold decorated USS Enterprise on its Starfleet insignia base, accented with a custom metallized plaque, authenticated with an individually numbered also includes a certificate of authenticity. To fully reproduce the vessel's special effects, authentic defensive system sounds and light-up engines round out the amazing features on this limited edition starship. Further access denied, log off. Okay, product of China, wouldn't you know it? Playmates Toys, Inc. So, impulse engine activation button, warp engine activation buttons. They kept the buttons from the original version of it. Phaser activation button, the photon torpedo activation button. To activate warp impulse sounds and light up engines, press the warp drive or impulse engine button. Press the phaser or photon torpedo button for defensive system sounds. Includes certificate of authenticity and individually numbered metallized plaque. Starship Enterprise can be easily removed from its Starfleet insignia display base. Okay, so it's probably one of the magnetic-y ones. I think these display bases were quite standard on the rest of the line, but the first Enterprise release didn't have a display stand, if you remember. So classified 10 forward lounge, saucer module, main bridge, which is that's a kind of random linkage for the main bridge. It's there on the top section. Captain's yacht, forward photon torpedo launcher, navigational reflector. No, it's a navigational deflector. Good lord. And long-range sensor array. I'm sorry, but that's annoying. Battle section, right. Detachable Starfleet insignia display base. Individually numbered metallized plaque. So the plaque is actually on the stand. Okay. Saucer impulse engine. Light up warp nacelle, warp field grill. Okay. Interesting. I think quality control could have tried a little bit harder there, if I'm being brutally honest. And the back is a weird. That reminds me of ironically enough, a Starfleet image that I once had on one of the random Starfleet videotapes I used to own. So, I'm really surprised at this. I mean, I should say about this box as well, it's quite a large box. It seems larger than average. Maybe that's because this one's got a stand in it, whereas my previous version didn't have a stand. So unclassified data, highly detailed 15-inch gold decorated replica of the Starship Enterprise, individually numbered metallized plaque, yes, we know that. Detachable Starfleet insignia display base, yeah, impulse power, yes. Dual light up engines, bonus authenticity certificate, right. Okay, so yeah, nothing particularly unusual there. Let's have a look at it. I'm assuming this is going to be, limited edition here. So I have number 18,753 apparently. So presumably that is confirmed on the plaque, one assumes. Let's have a look. Oop, I was trying to escape already, which is not a good sign necessarily. Is this a separate box inside? I would assume so. Yes, okay. I did say the box was a little bit battered, isn't it? That's entirely accurate. I think the best thing to do is just pause while I have a little fiddle and get her out. Okay, so here she is. And it's, you know, it is exactly as you would expect it to be in terms of being, you know, the Playmates Enterprise D standard model. It would appear from the enclosed instruction sheet that somebody's actually gone to efforts to apply the stickers, and fair dues, they've done a nice job of it. I think they've done it pretty carefully, but I often forget with these that the Playmates ones actually expect you to apply the stickers themselves. You know, it's not one of those ones where it's, you know, they're gonna come pre-done for you. You've got to actually do it rather carefully yourself. It also says, I bet this might come about after feedback from the first release. It says nacelle engines do not detach from the body of Enterprise. So basically, don't try and take the engines off, kids, because you will break the Enterprise if you try and take the engines off. But understandable why somebody might try, I guess. And I will pop the some batteries in and try the sound effects in due course as well. But as you can see, it's a nice gold colour. It's a really sort of, you know, it's just deep, it's very rich, which I suppose is entirely appropriate for gold, but you know what I mean? It feels like they haven't done it in a sort of slapdash way. I mean, there's no sign on there that I can see that it's losing any gold anywhere, which is quite sort of satisfying to see. And as you can see, you know, the same is true on the underside. It's very, very solidly done. I mean, not that you would expect anything else, obviously, but even the screws, I don't know whether it's just the general sort of goldenness of everything around them, but they look like they might have sprayed those as well, so, you know, they don't sort of stick out a mile, which is nice. But I bet you don't see these overly often, because if it was genuinely limited to 50,000, then I guess, you know, there probably aren't that many still in the wild. It's kind of, where are we now, 30 years on? Yeah. But yeah, it's a nice, it's definitely eye-catching. I think that's the thing that you notice about it most. It's eye-catching. And if you had, it's just a shame that they didn't think to do this with the other ones that they released. You know, I don't think any of the other Enterprises that they've done get this treatment. It's only the D, which is kind of a shame, because if someone had just thought that a little bit more, they would have had themselves a mini collection on their hands, because people might have wanted to fill out a ready room's worth of Enterprises to be able to do a sort of a display like on the Enterprise itself. So I think that's the only way that they've missed a trick here. And I think also, I guess it's a sort of, it's 6 of one, half dozen of another, isn't it? Because they want kids to want to buy it, so it's got to have the sound effects and the lights, but in doing that, they kind of take away from it being just a sort of display piece statue, which the older collector might want. And then, do the kids want a gold Enterprise? It's like, you know, I'd be really interested in your thoughts on that, because to me, it feels like it could both hit and miss at the same time, which is very unfortunate for them, of course, but I can see why it might. So what I'm going to do now is attach this to the stand, which does show its does indeed show my number as it's intended to, 18753. And I will pop that on. I'll pop some batteries in, and we can have a quick listen and see if it's radically different to the original version of the Enterprise, but I suspect it won't be. Have to say, just sort of standing looking at it, it's very nice. It is very nice, it's very sparkly. But in attaching the stand and inserting the batteries, I did find one slight nugget of amusement for myself, because on the underside of the saucer, it identifies itself as a 1992 Playmates production. So again, it just goes to the fact that this is, without doubt, exactly the same production model as the earliest version of the Playmates Enterprise, which was not coated in gold. And I'm not expecting anything else from it on that basis. It's obviously exactly the same as they used first time round, but just gold sprayed. wonder if that was actually a little bit stuck. Nice. Nice. So clearly fully working. That's that, which is always good. I can't remember if the navigational deflector does actually light up. No, it doesn't actually. Again, not quite as good as the latest Diamond Select one in terms of the amount of lights coming on. And quite why your warp nacelles would light up when you're firing phasers, I don't know. So there you go. So that's that, and which is pretty much as you would expect, basically, and you know, almost certainly identical to the previous version. So I don't know how popular this was. I mean, I normally resist this sort of thing simply because obviously it's gimmicky. It's not radically different to the original one either. So again, it's got no appeal for me in that sense because it's not different. But what attracted me to this was the simple reality of it not being something that I'd seen before, because clearly these do not come up that often. You know, I have been searching on and off for Enterprises for a number of months now, if not a year or so in fact, and I've never seen one of these available to the UK before, or at all. So, you know, however many there probably aren't that many left. So I'm quite happy to have picked one up to show you from a completeness point of view, if nothing else. But I actually suspect that this might actually be quite an unusual piece to find, you know, full stop. So quite happy on that basis, really. You can't say fairer than that when you do sort of trip across something that you just don't normally find, and are indeed unlikely to find in the wild, it would appear. So yeah, I'm sorry if that's a little bit samey in other respects, but nonetheless, that is a Playmates Trek toy. I had some comments on my last video, which seems to be quite sort of popular in terms of it being about the Diamond Select D. And people were asking, you know, was there an Enterprise E? And the short answer is yes, there was. And the longer answer is yes, I will be covering them. And in fact, I noticed in looking at the Playmates catalogue for this particular Enterprise that there are probably two slightly different versions of the E that Playmates did as well, and I suspect I only have one of them. That's something I need to check on. But I hadn't fully appreciated perhaps that there was a slightly different one, because again, I'll come to this when I actually come to do the E, but there are, although the E was never sort of rebuilt or anything, there are some subtle differences to it between films. So I'll do some research and speak to that when I come to do it. I've still got some other crafts to fill in some gaps. And I'm now realising, to my sort of mild amusement, that I've probably got virtually every Playmates ship now in my possession to show you. So by the time the Trek Toys playlist finishes, if I could pick up one or two more, I could pick up, but it will be quite a complete capture of all the ships that Playmates released at this scale, if nothing else. And obviously, you know, you've seen some of the others as well, but at this scale, it'll be pretty complete, I think, one way or the other. So keep following the playlist. You know, I will try and keep issuing them out weekly. Hope you've enjoyed this one, and I'll see you again before long. Cheers for now.